Episode number 245, How to Use Church Online Platform with Kyle Kutter. Let's do it.
This is the definitive podcast for helping you plan, create, and execute dynamic worship experiences at your church. Useful, practical content in the areas of production, worship, communications, first impressions, and more. This is Making Sunday Happen.
Well, hey guys, welcome to Making Sunday Happen. So glad to have you here. I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys over the last few weeks. I've been on dozens of Zoom calls and Facebook messages, text messages, emails, a lot of interaction with you guys over the last couple of months, and I love learning what you're doing in and through your churches. We are one church, and I count it a joy to serve alongside you guys. So thank you for allowing me the privilege of doing that. I really love you guys, and I really thank you for your time, and I thank you for just hanging out with me over the last few weeks and months as we're all trying to figure this thing out together. Many of you use Church Online Platform from Life Church or have started using it over the last few months. Today, I welcome to the podcast Kyle Kutter. Now, Kyle was on the podcast a couple of years ago talking about something different. But what I'd like to I asked Kyle to come back to talk about Church Online Platform. He's a part of the Life Church team, and we're going to take a deep dive today into the Church Online Platform. I'm talking with Kyle about how you can use it, how you can enhance the user experience on the platform, some ideas for engaging your viewers, and more. And I really hope that today's episode will give you lots of ideas and will help you. We'll jump right into my interview with Kyle right after a word from our sponsor this week, and that is Secure Give. So if you're a church that is struggling with giving, I want to recommend our friends at Secure Give. If you want to make your giving experience better, I want to recommend these guys. They provide great software strategy and resources. You can visit them at securegive.com to learn more. And I want you to check out this video, and then we'll jump right into my interview with Kyle Kutter from Life Church. Check this out.
Thank you for investigating Secure Give. We have designed our software to be a one-stop shop that allows you to receive donations, get administrative support, access reports, and receive funds from your debit or credit card donations into your bank account. This simplifies administrative tasks and creates an environment for funding to be quickly received and reported. Part of all digital transactions, whether at a church or a business, is a merchant processor. Simply put, this is a firm responsible for transferring funds securely from your donor's bank account into your church bank account for a small fee. And it's more common than you think. When getting started with SecureGive, we help set your organization up with a merchant account so you'll be able to process card transactions. With your own merchant account, when a donation is made, the funds will process and go directly to your bank account the same day. Our fee structure is simple and very easy to understand. Processing fees will vary by card type, and the merchant processor also includes a small transaction fee as these funds are deposited. We're excited about walking you through the entire SecureGive implementation process. Again, we have built a system that has seamlessly integrated with thousands of ministries, helping them save both time and increase their giving. We look forward to connecting with you soon.
Hey guys, today I welcome Kyle Kutter. Kyle serves on the team at Life Church and is one of the team members on the Church Online Platform team. Obviously, Church Online Platform, huge platform that churches are using now, especially during this time of COVID. Kyle, welcome back to the podcast, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Hey, Carl. Thanks for having me, man.
Now, I'm sure the last few months have been absolutely insane for you guys. Give me kind of a temperature check of the last month for you guys.
Oh man, it's been a fun one for sure. Really proud of the team, honored the amount of churches we've gotten to partner with and calls. But yeah, it's I remember the week kind of when it really was coming to the US and the something was shifting and changing. And specifically, it's interesting. We had the Oklahoma City Thunder basketball game that Wednesday night. And I think it was like the same night the NBA like canceled the rest of the season, or that day. And I remember walking into the team meeting Thursday morning, and it was definitely like, okay, guys, this Sunday, speaking of the podcast name, it was like, okay, we got to get ready. The data was even showing us just the amount of signups, kind of our normal averages. And that week was just like, okay, it's starting to go up, our daily average. And we were ready. And luckily, we could talk more about the product specifically, but we were excited to stand ready to support any church that we launched a blog post. I remember that Thursday I was thinking, man, the amount of churches that are signing up just this week that are thinking we need to have this live for this weekend because our buildings could be closed. We launched a blog post called Launching Church Online this weekend. And just for our pastors and our churches to share out just the easy 1, 2, 3s of getting signed up and then finding the streaming provider and getting plugged in and launching the services. So it's been a fun roller coaster. Obviously, what the future will hold, we know that we're not going back to the way it was. But we're just honored for the amount of pastors and church leaders we get to serve.
Do you have any numbers on how much you guys have grown over the last 4 weeks? Let's just say.
Yeah, let me give a little bit of history context to kind of set the stage. So if you think about it, 2006, Life Church stepped out and launched just a church online experience where we were doing church online. And then a couple years later, the platform was launched, the church online platform. And the idea of hey, could we give away the technology that would allow other churches to not just do a video stream, because you can do that through streaming providers, but what if we to build an online campus? So 2011, that was in beta all the way through 2012. And then we launched the version that has been live for the last 6 years. We launched that in 2013. So to give context, 9 years of a platform that's been live. We've had about 25,000 signups in those 9 years. And in the last, I guess we're now at the 7-8 week mark when the podcast comes out a bit longer, we're at 27,000 signups. So just the amount of churches that have signed up in the last few weeks, huge numbers, as well as then the
27,000 new signups in
new
7-8 weeks.
Yep.
So let me get this straight. You've had 25,000 in 9 years, and you had 27,000 in a matter of 7-8 weeks. Did I hear that right?
That's right. Yep. You're hearing that right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
And seeing a daily average, and the product is meant to be simple, is meant to be quick to set up.
Yeah.
And praise God that it is that way. So churches that, man, my building's shutting this week, and we do YouTube. So YouTube, Facebook, or YouTube or whatever stream provider, plugged it in a chop, boom. Now you can do what we call community around content, where you can still engage your attenders. They can take digital next steps. So it's been a hockey stick, if you will, the amount of signups and just active churches, right? So it's one thing to get a sign up. It's another thing to help that church actually get their services launched and onboarded. And that's really where a lot of the technology, obviously, how do we scale that? But supporting churches, being proactive and reaching out to them we've been doing Facebook Lives, proactively reaching out to churches that have signed up and got launched, really just help to make sure that the capital C church is empowered and ready to do online ministry.
So let's step back for a second. For people who might have jumped into this podcast, I have no idea what is Church Online Platform. I have no idea what you're talking about. Give me an elementary, walk me through what it is and what it does for a church.
Yeah. So the phrase that you'll hear a lot is community around content. And for us, what that means is your content. So your weekend message, your worship, your preaching, all of that is your content. And we want to build the digital tools, the platform to create the community, this online experience for that community to happen. So elementary view, you have a video, which is the content. And then you'll see chat is a big functionality of that. So as someone comes to attend your online church service, they're able to interact with your staff, your pastors, your volunteers through a big chat. That's the secondary focus. Mm-hmm. You can do live prayer is a big focus of, obviously, when someone wants to connect with someone one-on-one, or maybe a host wants to reach out to someone one-on-one. Maybe they posted something in the chat that thinks, man, I like to pray for that person. So we create that environment, and then really helping people take, we call next steps, digital next steps. So think about in your church service on the weekend, the amount of times you're maybe calling the attenders to do something, to take an action step. Maybe it's at the end. I mean, for us, that moment at the end where our pastor ask people to maybe raise their hand in the physical buildings. Well, digitally, we want them to digitally raise their hand to let us know maybe they're taking a step towards Jesus.
Right.
Maybe it's to give. Maybe it's to sign up for something. Oh, I want to join a small group, or hey, I'm interested in serving, or I'd like to know more information about that thing that you talked about. So we create the digital tools around your content to enable people to take those digital next steps.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Wow. Okay, so tell me some of the major questions. Obviously, you've seen a massive uptick in churches coming your way. What has been some of the major questions that your team has tackled, maybe in those Facebook Lives that you were talking about?
Yeah.
What are the main questions that churches are asking you guys?
Well, a common one we get a lot of times is that, is this really free? Because you go through the sign up process.
Catch,
you're
man?
like,
yeah.
I'm not seeing where my credit card information goes in, that's oftentimes like, yes, it is 100% free. This the Church Online platform, and it sits under a ministry at our church, at Life Church, called the Open Network. Mm-hmm. And the Open Network, that same year back in 2006, Life Church stepped out and said, hey, what are we going to do with these resources? At that time, it was the weekend message or the curriculum we were creating or graphics or worship. What are we going to do with these resources? And our leadership said, hey, let's give that away for free. So they launched a website called Open. And so we've been doing that for a long time. And when we launched the platform, man, how much is this platform going to cost? No, it's going to be completely free. We have a value around leading the way with irrational generosity. And so the platform's free. You think about things like the YouVersion Bible app, church metrics, all open, completely free out of the generosity of our attenders, the people that give to Life Church. So that's the first common question. Is it really free? Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I would say another question we get a lot of times is like, oh, so you're our streaming provider. It's like, well, no, you still need a streaming provider, some way for you to upload your video, to stream your video out live perhaps. And then you take that stream and you bring that into our platform, and then we create all the content. So that's oftentimes a real common question that gets asked. Another one that gets asked is just about what do I do with this chat? Like, how do we host, and what are these roles? Because in the platform, you can have different roles and different permissions to enable volunteers or staff. So that's a lot of times the question is, what do I do with that? And the first time, the things that we encourage is, man, turn on live prayer, because you can turn it off. It's a feature you can turn off, and turn on live prayer. Have your staff there ready with the little badge that says hosts, and they're just ready to host people and welcome people the same way you would do in a physical lobby. The greeters at the door, create digital greeters, people that are there with the Church Online experience. And how do we handle prayer? The same way you handle it in person, like, hey, welcome. And so those are a lot of times where I think it's that first barrier of saying, well, what do I do with this online church? And we just go back to, well, what do you do in the physical? Right. And our goal has been to build the tools to enable them to do that. So that's a lot of the questions. Obviously, as we're continuing to roll out new features, that is a big focus of how do I use this new piece of technology. One of the big things we've launched, so going back to what's our team been working on. So we saw a huge uptick, and we have a huge vision for the product and a roadmap, if you will, of features. And so the team, while also scaling the product, supporting the product, it's also how do we advance the product and keep pushing out the features? So some new ones, we call it moments. But moments are in the chat. Think about it. If you're on your mobile device, which is really the lens in which we're building this product, and that chat and that video, we want to create moments where you can take those next steps. And so we've been launching new types of moments since COVID really hit. That's been a focus of ours. And so that's where some of the questions have been about the moments, creating the moments. Scheduling service times is always a question of, how early do I open up the chat room, and how quickly do I shut it down? And so we have some guidance on our support documentation.
Yeah. Answer those questions a little bit along the way. What would you suggest is a good time to open up the chat before the service?
Well, we definitely recommend, obviously, we've seen a couple different approaches. I would definitely have the chat open prior. We see everywhere from 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's really just how many services are you going back to back? I mean, so I think there's a lot of parameters that you would say how long, but we would definitely recommend that. We also seen where churches get creative, and in their video, they actually, let's say the service starts at 10 a.m. It may not be that the actual worship or the person who's like maybe the host of the service live on video, it's not that they're necessarily right at 10 o'clock and they have a little bumper video just to give a few minutes. Because what if, think about it, man, oh yeah, church starts at 10. I need to log on, or I need to put it up on the TV, or I need to get on my mobile device. It's 10:02. Oh my gosh, I missed my favorite song. So we typically recommend, put a little buffer there to allow people to come on, log on, and then you start to engage them.
Yeah, so I wrote down a couple of things that I've been suggesting. I want to see if you agree with them or not.
Good.
And you mentioned a couple of them. So one is turning my greeters into chatters. Okay, so right now, obviously you can't meet in person, or we're kind of working our way back in. But my suggestion has been take your hospitality team and turn them into army of digital hospitality team online. So turn that team. I'm talking your parking lot guys. I'm talking your door greeters, your bulletin pass out people, like the coffee station people. Those are the people that maybe you could lean on to lead that chat and kind of turn them into digital hospitality team. You want to speak to that?
Yeah. Oh, love that idea. I mean, I think, how do we engage the church, right? You think about the volunteers that are there at the physical buildings. They're eager to serve. How do you create serving opportunities? I know for us, a big one is just engage in chat, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, maybe you don't blow it up, make room for those that are like feeling like they want to ask a question or whatever, but man, be there, be available, chime into the conversation. One of the moments that we've created is a quote moment. Because the thought is, man, as your pastor or your worship pastor or the host person is on video, maybe you want to highlight something they said and you want them to heart that, or maybe you want them to share that out to their social media. So man, be one of those people that when a quote comes up, heart it, share it, just engage in the content that's happening. I know being digital evangelist, the idea of inviting people, that is a key part. What can you do? Man, when the service starts, share right to Facebook, share on Instagram, share to Twitter. Like that is a key part of inviting people to church. They're like, oh gosh, it's 10 a.m. Service is starting. Yeah. And someone may have been on Facebook at that time, and then they get engaged to go to your church online experience. So some of those things that almost seem so easy, that is a great way to engage our current volunteers in the physical building in the digital world.
What about pre-show? You mentioned this a little bit. This was probably a month and a half ago or so, right when COVID hit. I did a Sunday where I hit like 50 or 60 churches and watched their digital experience, or a few minutes of it. And one thing that I noticed, that a lot of them were using Church Online platform, and it would either say off air, or there was an error in the chat, and it was almost like it was just unkept. It wasn't. I'm not hitting you guys. I'm saying it's like the church didn't pour energy into the presence before and after the actual experience. So what would you suggest? Like, I'm suggesting putting a promo video there, or a video, 30 seconds, 60 seconds of a pastor just saying, hey, thanks for being here. Our service times are going to be these. Here's where you are. Here's the buttons to hit. Welcome. Just a quick video, and maybe in the chat have a list of service times, invite, remind, maybe something in the chat that says. So I'm making
those are all great ideas.
Yeah, walk that out.
Yeah, so you can do, specifically in the product, the Church Online platform, you can do like a pre-service video, an offline video. Yes, I've seen some great ones where they're welcoming the day. They're even really speaking to the season that we're in. They're navigating like, hey, you may be asking, what can I do? And they're like talking about the different features. So I love all those ideas, Carl, of just helping, especially for those that maybe weren't doing online pre-COVID, and this is now part of your online ministry. You have people that are joining you for the very first time. Help them understand what this is. Encourage them to request prayer. Encourage them to know that, digitally giving online. So I love the idea of just keeping it up. I know for us, I think about my sister. My sister works with a church back where my hometown, and just like, man, they're there. They even put like their title in their name. So her name is Callan, and I know Callan, and then they put her role at the church as her name, just so that like, oh, okay, you're not just a host, you're actually part of the church. Oh, that's great. So maybe when you're reaching out to me for prayer, or you're giving a suggestion, oh, I get it. It's like I'm talking to a staff person.
Yeah, a little bit of credibility there too.
Exactly. I love the idea of I love the idea of talking about all the features. Definitely have the offline video live and active, just talking about what is this experience? Because we we see a lot of people stay with services because their chat's now open. And I think if you don't have a service that's coming right afterwards, why not leave your chat open for just like you would in your lobby, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, oh my gosh, we're out in the lobby now. And we're talking about the message, or we're talking about what God's doing in our lives. Like, use the chat as that. I've also seen a lot of churches do just creative ways where they're actually like, hey, let's jump over to our Facebook group and keep the conversation going because another like service is starting, or Zoom, or the idea of like, how do you have people that are ready to engage, they're engaged digitally, keep them engaged, just like you would in the physical.
Good. All right. What about countdown? So one thing I've been suggesting, you kind of mentioned this a little bit. This is total opinion, but my thought is start the countdown at your service time. So if your service time's at 11, start countdown at 11. So your actual service starts at 11:05. The reason for that is because I know a lot of times it gives you a few minutes to get my technology right. Let me fix my Apple TV. It's not the way I really want it. Oh, I got a chance to run to the bathroom real quick. Like, it just kind of sets the table. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, I love that idea. And again, I think it's based upon what the content is that you have. But I love the idea of countdown videos. I've noticed even like streaming some YouTube live. I don't know if you stream like YouTube premieres, and YouTube premieres does that where they actually have a native countdown built in that, like, if you set it to premiere at 7 p.m., well, at 7 p.m., that's where the 2-minute countdown starts.
Right.
And I love that idea. Giving the people the anticipation, it's coming. It's coming. Oh gosh, hey guys, it's your last time. And then maybe in the chat, you're saying, hey, be sure to send out the digital invites right now. Hey, be sure to share the link out to your social media. Hey, text a friend. So I love those ideas.
Yeah, I think you can blend those two ideas. So if you have a pre-show thing, and then in your countdown, use your countdown to have talking head videos of your pastors, or like through this, what if you did nurses on their iPhones? Thank you for your prayers, church. Things like that. Use your countdown, not just numbers necessarily. You can, but utilize that countdown time.
Stories.
Testimony stories, all kinds of stuff. To build engagement, to build story. Thoughts on that?
It's Carl, you mentioned like, hey, one weekend I went to 50 different churches. I love that. That is something that I do on the weekend a lot. It's a little bit of a proactive support, monitoring, but also just seeing all the amazing ways around the world. For us, Friday late evening is really when services begin for the weekend, if you will. And so our team is on support, active all day Saturday. Obviously, you think about New Zealand and Australia is coming online. So I love those ideas of just engaging creative. I've been seeing a few recently where they're actually kind of running a banner or a ticker over the video at the bottom. So even while maybe worship's going or the host is going, they're running a ticker of, I think one was like prayer requests that have been answered. And just, again, you can leverage technology. This is what I think is amazing, is that technology actually allows us to do even more, I believe, in some ways, so play to the strengths of it. And yes, don't just put countdown timers. Man, maybe use it ways to tell stories. What's the impact of what your church has been doing in the community? So definitely using creative ways. Now, I understand that sometimes can require more technology or more skills or more team members that maybe you don't have. But man, I believe that God's going to equip. He is equipping the local pastors and leaders to be creative, innovative, to find new ways of telling the stories that God's doing at their church.
Yeah. All right. In the last few minutes that we have together, I threw out on Facebook that I was going to be interviewing you, and lots of user questions about the platform and how people are using it. So I want to hit you with those kind of rapid fire a little bit. All right.
Okay.
All right. So you guys just released version 4. So a lot of people are asking about version 3 versus version 4. And like the question came out, why did they roll out version 4 with less features than version 3? So tell me about, and my understanding is that version 4 is kind of a different set of technology that you're kind of setting yourself up for the future a little bit. You want to walk through that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I may give a little bit longer answer because I want to basically give God some praise in this story, because we did with our own staff. Last year, we just knew where the product was going scale-wise. We had to rethink the technology, the infrastructure to scale beyond what it was. And so the team last year made some decisions. I remember walking into the fall, we made some hard decisions saying, hey, guys, the trajectory we're on now, we're not going to be able to release the full version of version 4 until it was like late fall 2020. Just the roadmap that we had, amount of resources we had, okay, that's the trajectory. And we said, okay, what if we pivot on this? And we said, what if we build an iterative, like a true MVP, a minimal viable product? It's in kind of a tech term that we get out the door right away, and churches can begin signing up for that and scaling them up. And then we'll begin to just release features. So we made that decision last August. And our goal was, man, could we get 30 beta churches at Christmas of 2019 live on the new product with the MVP features, which was the video stream, the chat, the prayer, salvation, and some basic overall links. That was like the MVP. And so we made that hard. It was a hard call, but it was like, man, let's begin shipping in the momentum of the new product. And then we'll even learn from users on how it's going, because we want to rethink the product to be a truly mobile first, where the old one was desktop first, if you will, built back in 2011, 2012. And then we added mobile enhancements. No, we see 70 to 80% of our traffic on mobile. We need to think mobile. We need to think more data. We need to think speed, because globally, the internet speeds we have here, maybe in the US, is not what they have So we entered into that mindset, and praise God we did, because on February 17th, we launched the live beta, the version 4 that everyone signed up for. We launched that. And I think about that, if we hadn't made those, if God hadn't led us to make those decisions then, the amount of people that were signing up, would they be signing up on the old version 3, that we knew already maybe had its limitations of scale. And I am so thankful, because we're set up for success. We're ability to ship iteratively now. Hopefully the V4 users, of the 27,000 that have signed up, they see, man, they're putting out features. So for us, our roadmap now, it says, man, over the next few months, we're targeting, our focus is get all the features that V3 has rethought and republished to the V4 community. And then walking into this fall, we're going to be set up for success, to not just what we have been doing, but Carl, where we want to lead this thing to, the vision we have for this product, and not just Life Church, but this like entourage, if you will, of just church online leaders that we're trying to unite with and hear from. So that's the why behind, like, you may be asking, why did version 4 come out with less features? It was strategic to get it out there. But man, praise God we did, because it's allowing the thousands to sign up and be on a version that can scale up so quickly. So
good. Okay. Do you have plans? And this is a question I got several times. Do you have any plans to allow the platform to be embeddable into other websites?
Yeah. There's not a roadmap feature right now that says chop embed, but I will say that we've seen some churches get creative in their ability to do it and create embeds, where they have enough technology staff on their side to figure out how to do that, where they promote a single URL and then chop is kind of within that. And I believe I reached out to him, because I was like, man, creative. I love the innovation. Like, good job. Yeah. And part of it was just because of some of the features that are on our roadmap to get out to V4 weren't out yet. And so that was a little bit of them way subsidizing some of those features. So I don't know that if it's their long-term strategy, but it was more of just a way. So there's not a roadmap feature that says chop embed, at least the last time I looked at it. But we know that part of that reason was so that they could have subsidiary features, and those features are coming.
So it has to be on the page the landing page that you guys are basically creating for them, so that they have the chat and the other features on the side.
It's more so the online.church URL that churches are creating, right? So KyleKutter.online.church, which I actually think is a taken subdomain. The thought is that you can create your own URL though, right? So if you're Freedom Church, that's kind of a Freedom Church, and you want live.freedomchurch.com, you can create that where you don't have to actually use our URL, but it does right now have to be on a standalone page. There have been a few, though, that have gotten creative and figured out how to embed it.
But you can pretty much solve that with a redirect, right?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, totally. If it's all about a URL promotion, like I was talking to a church the other day where they've done, everything we have is on our, their church's website.org/whatever. It's like, oh, just build it /online or live or whatever you want to call it.
And then just redirect over to yours. Yeah.
That's right.
So I think that's an easy solution for that one. All right. Is it possible to make the comment section more like Facebook, where you can reply to someone's comment and it becomes like a subthread?
That's a good question. I know the importance of chat and the value that we have on that being the community. I don't know that has been a feature that we have mapped out. I know, though, a lot of our energy and effort is going to be around how to make chat the best it can be. We're seeing in churches that are coming online and seeing thousands of chatters at one service. how do we create just a great experience for that?
Right.
I know that in version 3, one of the features that we had that we're just processing through is the ability to @mention, to where, right? So like if Carl, you post something and I'm like, ooh, I want to comment to what Carl said, I could like ping you in the public chat and you could see like, oh, Kyle replied to my thing. Maybe I said a public prayer request, or maybe so I know that the value of chat and the ability for that to feel like a community, both in a smaller scale and a larger scale, is where a lot of our energy is coming. So I know that that's a key value of ours.
Got you. Kind of going back to an embed question, can I embed my Facebook or YouTube live into the platform? I can pull in from anywhere, correct?
So stream providers, I love the creativity that I see of churches using it. I know that YouTube Live, there had been in the past, but man, the amount of churches I've looked at, YouTube Live works really well, where they're premiering live on YouTube and they're using that same embed inside of Church Online platform. We've seen Facebook Live just came on, where you can now embed that. We're seeing great things where the video stream is what is also live on Facebook. So I know that's one of our focuses I've been on the call with several. It kind of plays to the future, Carl, that we're really believing is how do we build the product to be better integrated with the other third-party platforms that churches are relying on.
Right.
We think about streaming providers. I think about giving providers. I think about church management softwares, because our end goal is to create a barrier-free church online experience where, man, there's no technology issues. That when I go to give, it's a one simple click. When I go to log in, wait, I have to have a separate login. Like we could think about through integrations, we're looking forward to building out even in more detail.
I lost you there for a second. So tell me the last couple of sentences. You were saying that you guys were looking at making it a streamlined experience where I don't have to log into a bunch of different things. Tell me that again.
I think about, can you still hear me? Is it coming through good?
I'm good.
Okay, good. We think about as a local church, Life Church, we're processing this, the different technologies that we use for our attenders. I think about our church management software. I think about our giving provider. I think about our streaming provider, all these third-party platforms it takes to create a seamless user experience for our church online. And our heart is that if Church Online platform is kind of the digital doors of your online church, how do we work well with all these other platforms? So that's really, when we think about the future, Carl, where we're leading this to, is I think about stream providers, giving providers, even form providers, like where you want to, like people want to take next steps.
Right.
Exactly. And that's where a lot of my energy is on calls with these third-party platforms. Where could we build a more technology integrated experience, so that like when I log into Church Online and maybe you use CCB, maybe you use Rock, maybe you use Planning Center, why can't that be the same login that I use for my church is the same login for Church Online? Well, now you have all my information. You have my giving information. You have my email. I don't need to give you my email address every time. When I go to submit a prayer request, you just know who I am, and that logs it to my profile in Planning Center, in Rock, whatever that may be. So that's where our mindset's going, Carl, because that will then just streamline the ability for the local church to do follow-up better, to connect better, to know their people better. So
Good. Okay, let's talk salvation. So currently there's no way to see info on people who raise their hand for a decision unless they go on and click another button after raising their hand. Are there any plans for better salvation response?
And salvation is like I mentioned before, it was an MVP feature because it's why we do this, right? To reach the world for Jesus. And so we have a lot of ideas about how to make that the best experience possible. I know part of it though is we do want to create the autonomy for someone to not feel like, whoa, for me to raise my hand, you have to know everything about me beforehand before I can do that.
Right.
So I know that's something we're sensitive to, but our desire with the recent salvation moment was, how do we create, hey, local church, what do you want to happen once someone does click? And right now there's 3 options. We have vision for even more, but man, I want to request prayer. You can maybe pop open a form right there in the experience to gather more information, or you can send me off somewhere if you want me to. I know the idea of like, how can we know about them? What if I was logged in already and I raised my hand? Well, then I would have all that information. We could log that to their profile in your church management software. Could I know where that person's coming from? If they don't give me their information, could I know that maybe some of the IP address or different public information that they're sharing with the browser.
Yeah.
So I know it's this balance of being sensitive to allowing the autonomy of the person to where they don't feel like, oh gosh, the church, they're attacking
20,000 people are looking at me or whatever.
Yeah. So it's that, but at the same time though, making an easy next step for that person so the local churches can do follow-up right.
Right. Is there at least a way that I can privately message the host or some type of person? I don't know if that's integrated just yet. So for instance, like Zoom, I can privately message someone or I can, chat to the whole group. Is that a part of anything where I can
So let me repeat back what I think you're asking. Right now, you can, the viewer, the attender of the church service can request one-on-one.
Yes.
But are you saying the reverse of that is, could the host see that my handle, Kyle Kutter, raised my hand, and then the host could say, reach out to Kyle, hey Kyle, congratulations on that decision. That's a good,
then follow up from there. Like, here's a link to our,
like a proactive follow-up. I don't know
I guess
that
versa.
is. Yeah. I know that the attender can request a one-on-one. I don't know where it sits, if it sits on the roadmap, but that's a good idea. Just logging. I know that, again, that salvation moment and that experience is something that we put a lot of value in. So
yeah, good. All right. A couple last questions for you. Is there a plan to have an end stream button so I can end the stream for everybody?
So right now there are, I don't know that it's an end stream button, but if I think about what the user may be asking, the desire to be like, service is over, because you can send an end. You can do that if that user maybe didn't know that. You can send an end to it to where basically the experience flips over to offline mode.
Right.
Chat is disabled. So you can, in theory, do that now. There's not a button. Right. I know some of the things like a force refresh or for the admin of the account can push things too. Those are some additional features that we're always investigating. How do we give more power in enabling the admin?
I'll read this out and maybe this will inform us a little bit more. All right. So without disabling it or changing the link and having everyone refresh. And then he says, is there an option for a post video that plays once so you can either end the stream or end the current embed and switch to another embed, then end it? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So a post-service video, maybe they're asking. I know you can do a pre-service and an offline video. They want like a post video.
You could just switch back to your off air or your.
Well, it goes to the offline. Like once the service is over, it switches over. I know at Life Church, or what I've seen at other churches, they just put a long bumper at the end of it. And it's almost like for us, it's our standard kind of every time, this is going to run for 3 minutes,
right,
or however long it is. So that would be my first recommendation. I know that you can set an end to it and then chat dies and it kicks back over to offline mode.
Yeah.
So hopefully the user knows that you can turn off the service. But
I like your suggestion. I think like once the service is over, if you want to put a video at the end of your actual, either your live stream or your pre-recorded video, even after the thing's over, so that it's actually one full video, you're going to black and then coming back up with that ending bumper video. Let that play, and then the stream ends and it goes back to your regular. I think that's
what we do. That's what I've seen other churches do. So
yeah, cool. All right, do you have any plans to make the admin panel mobile friendly? It sounds like you guys are really going in a mobile direction.
Yeah, it's interesting when I read that question. You sent it over ahead of time, and I thought, yeah, that is that. I remember when like all this was going down, I just went through end user experience. Okay, what are people seeing? And I remember messaging the team like, hey, mobile on this. Like, yes, it's a priority. We got other, it's almost like, let's get more features out the door.
Yeah.
The thought is, how do we empower the local church to even run the service from their mobile device, not just from their desktop? Yeah. Yes, we do have plans to make that as friendly as possible on all devices.
What are some tips on how to interact with watchers during the service besides offering and moments? So what to say, how often to post, things like that.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily the ministry leader of Church Online. I know for us, the vibrancy of the service is very important, to where we give the data to you, how many chat messages are from the host, how many are from the attenders. And I know that's something that our team, our ministry team is always evaluating. Like, man, our hosts in this service are talking too much, if you will, and not enabling more conversation. So that's something that I would always be monitoring. What is the ratio of host messages versus attender messages? So be watching for that. We do have some resources on open.life.church, which are all about how do you train up hosts? What do hosts do? How do they pray digitally if they've never walked through that? So my recommendation is go to open.life.church. I know we have many of those resources from Life Church, and we're trying to get them even from other churches that are to just, hey, here's some examples of how to train up your hosts in managing chat and live prayers.
Good. All right, last question for you. Can you edit a moment quote from within the live admin stream? This user said, it seems I had to go out, create it, and then come back in to post it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I know that the ability, once it's published, it's published. I don't know the technical answer. I'm gonna guess no. If that user couldn't find it, I'm gonna guess that it's a no right now. But again, moments is where we're putting a lot of energy, so I can imagine that's a great idea. I would just say to the podcast audience, man, our support team stands ready to serve and support, and we love hearing from you on ideas of like, hey, I'm walking this situation. So support.online.church is where you can go and read the support. But man, if you have an idea, even be sure to ask that question. And we're logging all of these ideas in just a queue as we go through and reprioritize, every sprint of work that we're doing, we're prioritizing. And it sounds like that's a good idea.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Give us that URL one more time.
Sure. So support.online.church is the support. If you go to churchonlineplatform.com, you can find all these links, but support.online.church is our hub for the online support. It's where all of our documentation is. It's where you can submit a help ticket, and our team stands ready all throughout the week. And then especially on the weekend, we are there. We're trying to walk into the weekend with all tickets closed up, all questions answered. But then we walk into Saturday knowing there are churches that are in service right now. So we're live support, especially in Saturday evening and Sunday morning, ready to respond in the moment.
Yeah.
And then we want to make sure, like, I love your podcast. I mean, we're making Sunday happen. We want to make sure that every church, if they had a question that week, that walking into their weekend, they feel equipped and ready to do online ministry.
Awesome. Well, man, thanks so much for your time. I'm glad so when I had you on last, it was audio only. So I'm glad we got to see your face. I want hair like you. That's my next goal is.
Well, man, it's like 2 months of no haircut. You just got to go with it. So it's just getting a little taller, get a little spikier. So maybe next time you see me, it'll be a fresh cut. Normally on these kind of things, I got to make sure the fade's looking good. So
right.
But this is the COVID look.
Speaking of COVID, what's the first thing that you're going to do once you get out of your bunker?
Oh man! So we get out of our house a lot and drive around. So
I know we go out every day.
If I can say that on there, we do it a lot.
I know.
Man, I mean, as a family, we've been asking our boys that, trying to make this a fun time. Yeah. And they're, go sit at a restaurant, go sit, but here's what's awesome, Carl, is some of the things that we loved doing, finding different versions of it. So we went and picked up from a local Mexican restaurant that we loved, they're doing to go. And we went to the local park and sat outside and did a walk. And I thought, man, we need to do this more. Almost like, I don't want to go back to the old way. So there's probably things that why I'm hesitant to answer that question is like, I don't even know that I want to do all the things that go to. Right. I know, obviously different community things. Like I miss my team, right? I miss being in the office. I miss hearing about just the stuff that I love hearing on video, but we tend to hit the end button. And that's where some in the meetings, after the meeting, just talk. I miss some of that. I miss the gym community, but that's what I think. I miss the most.
So I know a lot of people look to Life Church as kind of one of the, trend-setting churches. When do you guys what's your plan to reopen?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't know that I have all the details. I know that Pastor Craig is saying, man, these are target plans. Like nothing is set in stone. It's still changing week to week. For Life Church, we're also navigating a multi-state approach where a lot of the reopening will be state by state. Mm-hmm. So I don't have exact details on that. I mean, my wife is on staff at a local campus, and I don't know that we have the exact details even today when we record this podcast. Yeah. I know that our heart, though, is to have the doors open, right?
Well, are you guys planning on staying online?
Oh, I mean, we've been doing online for years. Right, I think, but Carl, that is our heart now from the open network team, Chop, is especially as buildings reopen, there's still the online community. I mean, look what pastors have built and what they're reaching. And our heart now is to help see that post-COVID, post your building open up, there's still an online community to reach. And don't forget about them. Don't give up on them. Right. Continue to engage them. Figure out what this digital and physical strategy would be. obviously Life Church, we've been doing that for years, but
Yeah.
our heart is to help rally the local churches. I mean, the thousands that have come online, they're getting creative. Anyway, don't stop. So yeah, digital and physical, it's a blend. It's together.
Yeah, I think a lot of pastors are seeing the need right now that even when things go back to normal, that an online presence is super important, as well as the physical experience.
I just talked to a church this week that they have streamed for years. So in their mind, they had online checked. Oh yeah, online, you can watch the service online. But what they're seeing now in the last few months is the ministry that's happening.
Engagement.
Because they've opened up chat, they're doing prayer, they're building the community.
Right.
And I love the pastor's words. He says, "Hey, online community, we're not giving up on you."
Right.
Like, I love
Good.
that. Like,
Good.
We're reaching people now that can't actually come to our physical. They don't live in our city.
Yeah.
And they're saying, we're online community, stay with us because we're not giving up on you. And that's the part where I'm saying, hey, churches, don't give up. And the Open Network team, along with all of our partners, are saying, how do we build the right resources, the right trainings to help the local leaders, the new church online pastors around the world to keep doing online ministry?
Yeah. Well, in Oklahoma, I think that you guys might be one of the first ones to kind of open back up. I'm not sure, but go get your tattoo. When we open up, get your nails done, get your tattoo. That's most important.
Haircut. Gotta get that haircut, man. Yeah.
Get your haircut. Well, man, thanks so much for hanging out today. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Carl, for having me.
The show notes for this episode are available now at makingsundayhappen.com.
Instead of bringing your kids to VBS, let's bring VBS to your kids.
But we're not finished yet.
Help kids understand what it means to listen to, focus on, and follow Jesus.
A stands for admit.
Bible stories.
They were afraid that they were about to become fish food.
Games.
Do you understand the rules?
Yes, ma'am!
Origami crafts.
The first half of the flower complete.
Powerful teaching.
Proverbs 3:5.
Great music.
I'm a wave walker.
Order Bolt VBS today at gocurriculum.com.
That was a promotional video that our team made for our friends at Go Curriculum. Their Bolt VBS is a quarantine-friendly VBS. It's completely online and provides videos and materials for the kids at your church to experience. They're a really great ministry that I'd love for you to check out. We do all their graphics and videos, and it's a privilege to serve them and several kids' ministries in our space and provide content and material to serve you guys well and the kids' ministries in our space well. To get that Bolt VBS curriculum, you can go to gocurriculum.com, gocurriculum.com. They're a fantastic ministry. I can't speak highly enough of those guys over there, of Go Curriculum. So gocurriculum.com, great VBS for the kids in your kids' ministry at your church, and also your family as well. They provide a family license for only $25. You can get your family to your kids together and watch the VBS, and I think it's only $185 for your church license. So you can use that for your ministry. Great, great deal for an online VBS solution for your church. Also, before I leave you today, I want you to check out our Church Online Tips web series on our website. We've been releasing new videos nearly every day to give you short tips and tricks on how to enhance your online worship experience. We also have a book on the way that puts all these tips and tricks together in one place, and also some additional content will be in that book as well. So 1230.media/church online has all that curated content right there for you. 1230.media/church online. You guys are doing a fantastic job. I want to encourage you today, keep up the hard work for your church. It's making a difference in the life of your church and in your community and for the kingdom. So keep working as hard as you're working. I know some of you, I've talked to some of you over the last few weeks. I know the hours that you're putting in. I know the decisions that you're trying to make, and you're trying to do what's best for your church, and you're working really hard to do that. And I want to tell you thank you, and I want to tell you good job, because it can be long hours, and it can be a situation where people don't know what you do, and they don't see what you do as a church communicator, or as a media person in your church, or even as a pastor. If we have pastors listening, you guys are putting in long hours and very hard work. So keep up the great work. It's making a difference for the kingdom. If you want to reach me, you can email me at carl@1230.media. That's all spelled out. Every word is spelled out. Carl at the word 12, the word 30.media. I'd love to hear from you, so feel free to drop me a line. Carl@1230.media. And thank you guys so much for listening and watching this week. Go out there and create some incredible worship experiences this weekend. I'll catch you next week.
Making Sunday Happen is a production of the ministry of 1230 Media. For show notes, archive episodes, and more free resources for your church, visit MakingSundayHappen.com.